Guys, how's it going? Jimmy here with a Final Cut Pro tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some tips and tricks on how to master the magnetic timeline. I'm going to be using a project that I used for my Ava channel. I will link it in the description down below if you are interested in watching it. I'm going to do this tutorial in 4 separate categories to break it down for you. I've got the toolbar, timeline, secondary timeline, and clip connections. Guys, clip connections has been a lifesaver for me, and I'm glad I discovered it, so make sure you stick around till the end so that you can discover it for yourselves. So tip number 1 is the toolbar, which is situated on the top right of your timeline. I'm going to go through each one very briefly so you understand how it works. First one is your video and audio skimming. By keeping this on, you can see that the playhead follows the cursor wherever I go. If you turn it off, it doesn't. You just got to click wherever you want it to go. There's been many a times where I've panicked and I'm thinking, why isn't it following? It's because it's turned off. Next one along is audio skimming. I generally keep this off because it does annoy me. Up to you guys if it annoys you or not. But once we put our playhead back into place and we start skimming, that's when you can start hearing audio as well. The next one along, real basic. If you want to solo a clip, you want to select that clip first and then press the headphones, and that grays everything else out, and you're only working on this one. Or you can press Option S on your keyboard for a shortcut to solo and unsolo that clip. The last one I'm going to show you in this toolbar is the snap tool. So if I want to bring in a text title, for example, let's just bring any basic title in. So I want it right at the beginning of this clip here. So with it on, what it does is it's going to snap it right into place for me. So when I bring it down and I want the very beginning of the title at the very beginning of that clip, it's going to snap right into place. Now, if I turn it off, you've got free for all, wherever you want to move it. Tip number 2 is the timeline itself. So let's say, for example, I want this clip of a dog in replace of this person running down the path. So I want to swap those clips around. All I want to do is just select my clip, bring it out of the timeline, everything will snap into place, and then I can just slot it into where I want it to go, and everything snaps back into place. Nothing else has changed, and that's moved my clips to where I want them to go. But sometimes we don't want everything to snap into position, so I'll move over here. Let's say I want this clip to slightly overlap this clip. A couple of ways we can do this. Now if I right click on the clip that I want moved and press lift from storyline or option command and the up arrow key to do so, and I'm going to move this slightly over here. And what this does is that this grey box called a slug, it brings that in. But now if I skim through the track, it's got a bit of a blank space, which we don't want. So that's nice and easy to repair. We'll just trim it backwards. And now that blank space is gone. The second way we can do that is by bringing in the position tool. I'm going to go to my cursor options up here and I'm going to select position or P on your keyboard. And what that does is that it can easily lift a clip from the storyline and it brings in that slug, making it real easy. Then we can go back to our cursor options, the select tool or A on your keyboard, and then we can slightly move that over again, and then again trim it just a little bit so that we have no blank spaces in our footage. One more example with the position tool. If I want a bit of a blank screen at the very beginning, so I want my music to be playing with a blank screen and then the first clip to be fading in. By holding Command and A, that would select every clip in your timeline. I'm going to bring back the position tool or press P on your keyboard, bring it ever so slightly forwards, and that brings that slug back in. And then by bringing back the select tool, I'm going to right click again on my first clip of the footage, show video animation or Shift and V, click on the drop box where it says composition opacity, and we can decide how long we want the clip to fade in. Tip number 3 is the secondary timeline. I'm just going to bring in a few photos into my project just so I can give you a little bit of a demonstration. So I'm going to say this is the original order that I want my photos to be in, but then I decide actually I want this photo to be at the end. So that means I've got to drag this over here. I've then got to drag this over here. You can start to see how long-winded it is. But by selecting all 3 clips and right-clicking and create storyline or Command and G on your keyboard, this will create a secondary timeline above the main timeline. So you can now see this grey box above. So by changing my photos again, everything will snap into place like it does on the main timeline. The only problem that I have found is if I want this to be at the very end, which it does, but it leaves the secondary timeline, but that's okay. If I snap that into position, select all three again, quick Command G, and that creates it into a timeline again. Tip number 4 is clip connections. As I said at the beginning, it's been a lifesaver for me and it will probably be a lifesaver for you too. I'm going to head back over to the section that I was on earlier. Now, if I want to move this clip in position of this one, when I pick it up, everything else is picked up with it. And when I put it into position, everything else is moved there as well, which can be a real pain. So while I want to move these clips around, I want these clips to be connected to this clip. So I'm going to position my playhead above it so that I know where I'm going. And I'm going to click below. I'm going to hold Option and Command and click, and you can see the clip connection has changed. Same with this one. And make sure same with that one as well. I'll do another demonstration so you can see that. Let's say I want this clip to be connected right here. You can see that there's nothing in between these two clips. When I hold Option and Command, you see that a clip connection has occurred right there. And we know that this clip is connected to this clip. So every time we move this clip, the audio is going to move with it. So now I can move my clips around and nothing else is going to move with it. Now listen guys, there's a suggested video on your screen right now on how I organize my files in Final Cut Pro for easy workflow, and press that subscribe button as well because I got another video coming out soon on 5 easy editing tips that will help you speed up your workflow. So make sure you press that subscribe button. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next one.